Oh, hello again. The next film you're about to see is called Bagshawe Resurgence, a source of potential. It's made in the early 90s, again with analog technology. The Resurgence itself is close to the house of Mr. Jack Badger, who was with us at the time and who was able to give us some background information on the site. And you'll hear all about that in the film. As to the why it's there and some of the legends surrounding it. But the film, it was started in the winter with snow on the ground, and it's the idea really of Andy Morrison, who was the main character in it, who was doing all the diving, and he was just started this is a new hobby, and was quite excited to try something of an old dig in the Resurgence. It's been tried before to try to connect the Resurgence through to Bagshawe Cavern, not too far away, but separated by perhaps tens of meters of rock, and not an easy thing to try to get through. Anyway, he made a start with, as you see in the film, he made a start with getting some of the boulders out that had been put there by the old miners. And after a long struggle, he managed to get through into a passageway, which was a greatly exciting thing for us anyway, to actually be there when he did this. Since the film was made, other cavers and cave divers have enlarged on what we did in the early days and have actually got through into Bagshawe Cavern, so it's now a through trip. But this was just an exciting task for us to actually see what we could do, and as I say, I hope you'll enjoy it.
The village of Bradwll in Derbyshire has long had close associations with the stream that runs through its heart. But here, more than in most similar upland villages, the stream, known as Bradwll Brook, has influenced the character and architecture of its surroundings. On a summer's day its waters give pleasure and opportunity for play, but the playful summer waters have darker origins in the deep recesses of the surrounding hills. They emerge from stone portals at the edge of the village. Beyond the opening is the cold and silent domain of the cave diver, whose watery world remains unseen save by the few. A recent recruit to this exacting sport is Andy Morrison, who already dreams of discoveries that may lie beyond these mysterious pipes and portals. This is the story of Andy and his dream, and of the source of a brook that maintains its power to influence. The story starts where it starts for many visiting cavers, with a chat to Jack Badger, whose home is almost on top of the Resurgence. He welcomes us with his usual warm hospitality and knowledge of the site. Our conversation begins with a reference to some of the local names for the area.
Well, it is called the Lum, and of course the whole road is called the Lum, the area is called the Lum, and I suppose the stream itself is called the Lum. It seems to be an all-embracing word for lots and lots of places.
Right. And how did it first come to your attention?
Well, the address was the Lum,
right.
Bradwll. This cottage originally was Wallhead Cottage, the Lum at Bradwll.
But I've heard it referred to as the Yeld.
The Yeld is the name of the piece of land behind the Resurgence cave.
Right.
But I believe that Yeld is quite a well-known name in Derbyshire.
You pass the Yeld or the Resurgence every day on your way to work. I mean, is there any reason to notice it at any time? Does it?
Well, it often floods, of course. It's very noticeable then.
Right.
The rest of the time, it's quite a nice, pleasant stream. When I first came to live here, some 30 years ago, there was a water shortage. In fact, the water was completely off for some 10 days, and I quickly got to know the local population because they came down there to collect their water. Most of the water is collected from a small pipe that comes out at the side of the main resurgence level, and I've been told that that water is more pure than the rest, but I'm sure that that pipe joins the main stream a little further under the road. The major use of it and all the masonry around it was particularly designed for driving a water wheel that drove an air wheel that provided air for driving the slag works, which is situated on the other side of the main, which was situated on the other side of the main road.
So it has an industrial past as well as...
Well, the whole area was industrial. The whole of Bradwll was an industrial area, and I believe that the paddock that I own, where the Resurgence stream comes out, was a dump for slag, for lead slag. So obviously the ground might just well be tainted from the agricultural point of view, but the chickens seem to thrive well there, and they don't seem to lay lead eggs.
So originally it was simply viewed on as a source of water, but it hasn't always come out.
No, I think originally it wasn't water source. It was a source of power, really.
Source of power, right.
But also a source of drinking water. But I should imagine the source of power was more important for driving the driving the blast for the slag works.
So most of the year it's possible to go about your daily business and not notice it's there, but I mean, when it does flood, what effect does it have on the village?
Well, it is quite significant when it does flood. However, the flooding tends to come down the main road and run into the stream where the Resurgence comes out. There is quite occasionally there is flooding from further back up the Yeld. It comes to the surface up a mine shaft further back up the Yeld, and one presumes that that is the same water, but I wouldn't really know. A lot of people over the years have tried to find out exactly what the water courses are, with a view to solving the flooding problem in Bradwll, and I believe Severn Trent have recently engaged some private consultants to do exactly that work.
I believe they even go to the lengths of sandbagging, don't they?
Oh, sandbagging, yes, sandbagging to stop it moving in the houses nearby. Yeah, but fortunately a lot of water comes from under my house, but it doesn't seem to get into it.
It must be associated with folklore and possibly...
Well, there is a Bradwll history book called Bradwll Ancient and Modern, and that certainly mentions, might quite not get the details exactly right, but there was a house on Hill Head that was haunted. A body of a young girl was found entombed under the stairs, and the local populace got in a minister to lay the ghost, and he was a Methodist, I believe, then called the Newfangled Body, and the book details that they were all sitting around in the room, and he prayed until beads of sweat appeared upon his head, and the local people who were present said the floor heaved up and down in quick succession, and he laid the ghost by saying, "I command thee to assume the body of a white ouzel and locate yourself in the mouth of the Lum." And that is a story of the Lum being haunted. And this white ouzel is supposed to fly once a year to Lumley Pool, which is a pool between here and Bamford. Yeah, it's supposed to be haunted, the Lum Boggart and the white ouzel, but I haven't really seen them, though I do keep a watch.
Yeah, quite close to them. If they were to appear, I think you'd be the first to know.
Yes.
The name Bradwll, I mean, is that in any sense connected to... I mean, you have well dressings here, don't
Yes.
The well dressings themselves are quite important to the village. I mean, is this blessed, this particular well?
Well, it isn't. Well, it isn't actually a well as far as the village is concerned. There are other locations where wells were located, and they're the ones that are dressed. Generally, the mouth of the Lum, which you call the Resurgence Cave, is not blessed as a well. Though there used to be a well very close by. It's now called Church Street Well, which is within 80 metres of the Resurgence Cave, probably the same water source.
So, can you tell me a little bit about when you became aware of it as being of interest to cave divers?
Well, obviously, I see people taking the clothes off outside my house and putting on rubber suits and disappearing down. So it doesn't take a lot of intelligence to find out what they're doing.
No.
And of course, as a social activity, I occasionally go down as far as an amateur like me can go. Down to where what you call the first sump is, which in the summer it isn't too bad a walk, you don't get too wet.
I believe you met John Cordingley.
Yes, well, I've met most of the people that have excavated it or shown an interest in it over the years.
Thank you very much indeed. That was
Pleasure.
Excellent.
Enjoy your caving.
Well, it was going to take more than a few ghost stories to put Andy off the task he'd set himself, so he's next decided to consult two of our country's leading cave divers, John Cordingley and Russell Carter. They had themselves tried to break through into new territory some years ago, but it had been thwarted by a stubborn boulder blockage in the second sump, just a short distance from the entrance. A sump, by the way, is a section completely full of water. During a period of drought, when the brook had completely stopped flowing, they kindly agreed to come back to the Resurgence to talk about their experiences and Andy's own chances of success. How had they remembered it?
When we came to look at it and we actually dived into the sump with the choking, we went to the bottom and there was all this clear water gushing up through the boulders, and it was obvious there had to be a passage going off beyond the choke. The only problem was, how do we get all the rocks out to get in there?
Some of them were huge as well, weren't they?
Oh, they were massive, yeah. I mean, we dug at it for about 6 months, didn't we? But in the end, we got to a point where the boulders were so big that we just couldn't get them out on our own. What makes this place special is it's a limestone area, and limestone's a rock that caves form in. And the water collects together about 3 miles away and goes underground at what we call a swallet. It's just a place where the water gathers and sinks underground.
I used to go digging at Deuce Hole with the Orpheus. What a squalid place that was.
I remember that. You used to come back covered in filth and mud, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. All the water is lost in the swallet, where its passage is choked. And it flows from there to here through undiscovered passages. And the passages in places are completely submerged. Finally, the water comes out from this resurgence. That's a word that cavers use just to mean a place where the water finally comes out from a cave system. It's a French word. We sometimes call them springs.
I'm glad Andy's taken this up with Bill and Tim. It's got so much potential. I reckon if he sticks at it, it's going to go somewhere, this.
Oh, I think you're right. I mean, it's great because the lads have only really started cave diving within the last year or so, and already they've moved away from just swimming around in sumps that other people have explored, and now they're actually looking for new passages of their own. And I'm sure you're right. If they stick at it, I think there's a big discovery waiting to be made here.
Proved to be several months before the flow and visibility was suitable for work to begin on the boulder in the sump. There's little shelter from the chill winter winds as Andy prepares for the first dive, but checks on the vital air supply mustn't be hurried. Today's cave divers are less cavalier than their predecessors, and every piece of equipment is thoroughly maintained to ensure survival. On the way down to the entrance, Andy reflects on what he's heard about the legends and history of the place. There's certainly plenty of evidence of its value to the local lead industry, and the rocks that block the sump today are left from the days when there was mining activity in the immediate vicinity. The plan today is to measure some of the rocks and form a plan of action. We might even get a few out. The words of John Cordingley that there's a big discovery waiting to be made here will keep us at it over the coming months. The short sump 1 is reached via a 6-foot ladder climb from the brook. Non-divers gain access via an uncomfortable grovel in a dry culvert. A look at the survey and plan of the catchment area helps to give a fuller picture. We rejoin Andy in sump 2. The obvious potential of the Resurgence can be judged from a look at the catchment area. Bradwll village lies on the shale limestone boundary, and water is collected from many swallets, including Deuce Hole, 3 miles south of Great Hucklow. The dry passages of Bagshawe reach to within 50 metres of the Resurgence, but although sighted, the route of the main flow remains a mystery. Water wells up here in Sump 2, known as Boulder Sump, passing via a mined passage to Sump 1 and out into the brook. The flow rate in winter exceeds 100 million gallons a day, double that flowing from Peak and Russet Well combined.
Right, finally arrived at Sump 2. The idea of today is there's 3 boulders down there blocking the way on, and hopefully get to measure them with the missus' sewing tape to find out just how big they are, and hopefully get at least one up and put a bolt in, and then when we've worked out actually how heavy the larger of the 3 are, then we'll decide on what strategy to use to actually get them up and out of the sump.
The measurements were worrying. A small pulley and a small team were just not enough.
Still on the bottom.
It's not moved, huh? Has it moved any?
Can't tell, I think it might have moved.
But there's no obstructions it's gone through?
It's just like a car.
Really a car?
Well, maybe not as big as a car. A small car, probably a Mini or something.
How about a Fiat Panda?
Can't shift it.
Fiat Panda size, yeah. You can't move the smaller ones, you see, till that one's out the way.
The car-sized boulder was eventually broken into smaller pieces, but it took 3 months of back-breaking work before any real progress was made. It's now May, and today we'll see an all-out effort to reach a narrow bedding slot. Some really big stuff is coming out. It was dangerous and tiring work, and what happened next could have had more serious consequences.
God, that was the last boulder.
You alright, Andy?
They've made a big steel, man.
Looking good, isn't he?
I can't tell.
Once this boulder's out of the way, there's one just perched over the top of the actual
Oh,
the hole at the bottom.
big one, isn't it?
Yeah, you want to get that one
I've
out.
got the people here, you see.
Rocks came out thick and fast. The sump got bigger, but the entrance passage got smaller. Little by little the sump was being forced to give up its secrets. The slot, still too narrow to enter, was uncovered and a black void beckoned beyond. Time for the secret weapon.
Can we have the air chisel?
Yes, okay. You can pop it on the surface, but don't turn it on till you're down there.
There's 2 other divers here today, neither strangers to Bagshawe. They're Tim Hallam and Bill Griffiths. Bill tests the chisel.
I will sometime.
Meanwhile, directly above, all is peaceful and quiet.
Feel it?
Oh, sure it's off. So Bill put like a groove in with the chisel.
Yeah.
You couldn't get in with the sledgehammer,
Yeah.
so Bill put a bit of a groove in with the air
Yeah.
chisel. And then a couple of swims with the sledgehammer.
Yeah.
And that big projection
Okay.
fell off.
It definitely sounds hopeful.
So, hang on, I haven't perhaps appreciated the significance of this. You mean you're almost through into open passage now, Andy?
Yeah, we're through now into the big bedding plane. We've just got one boulder to bring up. And we'll be in.
With this boulder now removed, Andy can at last get a good look. He seems confident it'll go. The depth is now 6 metres. Not deep, but it's still tight and awkward, and easy for bulky diving kit to snag. Months of hard work are resting on the results of this one dive. Tim goes down as well to give support.
Well, I hope Andy's alright down there. He's out, but
The vista became appalling.
Here it is. Here it is.
That'd do.
It's massive railway tunnel down there.
Is it?
Fucking huge thing. Biggest thing I've seen, Bill. Right, you can't get in. You won't be able to get in very well at the moment. It's not worth the risk.
Right.
Because it's that tempting to swim off that you might not get back.
Yeah.
I'm talking major underwater passage here. I'm not talking piddly fucking small thing.
In the weeks that followed that dramatic moment, work continued, laying line and stabilising. But now Andy lowers himself into the Resurgence for a different reason. He's agreed to film the new discovery so we can all share the fruits of their endeavours. We dive vertically down to the much tamed, still not to be trusted bedding slot with its floor of debris from the dig. Beyond, the passage is low and the camera has to be tilted. On the right, the floor is silty, and as the passage opens up, dense clouds threaten to obscure the lens. Luckily, it soon clears. The present limit of exploration is ahead, but the passage can be seen to continue well beyond the line reel. The main flow has finally been located, and future prospects for more discovery are excellent. Andy and his team aren't finished with Bagshawe yet.